Well, ladies and gentlemen, we have the unfortunate news that we have to report regarding Ghost of Yotei. Now, we haven't spoken about Ghost of Yotei in a little while now because, for the most part, things have been pretty quiet regarding Ghost of Yotei. And unfortunately, it looks like we have confirmation now that after the shuttering of the Edmonton studio over at Dragon Age: The Veilguard and those writers having to find jobs, it looks like some of them have found jobs working as writers on Ghost of Yotei for Sucker Punch. It's not looking very good for this game. So let's get into this article, guys, from That Park Plays. But of course, before we do, if you are new here, just consider hitting that subscribe button. I would greatly appreciate it, and like the video to push us out into that YouTube algorithm. So the headline reads, Ghost of Yotei fan concerns increase. Games writers also worked on Dragon Age: The Veilguard and Mass Effect Andromeda. Now, of course, Mass Effect Andromeda got a lot of hate for its animations and also its story. Its story was pretty garbage, especially trying to piggyback off of the initial 3 trilogy that was way better story-wise. Andromeda got a lot of hate and was the first of 3 when it comes to the massive failures that BioWare has experienced over the last 15 years. And now that we know that there are certain people that wrote on Dragon Age: The Veilguard and Mass Effect Andromeda working for Ghost of Yotei and Sucker Punch, people are obviously concerned. It says Sucker Punch's upcoming Ghost of Yotei is already facing serious backlash, and now new details have emerged that only add fuel to the fire. According to IMDb, the game's writers include John Dumbrow and Courtney Woods, both of whom worked on Dragon Age: The Veilguard, a game widely criticized for prioritizing identity politics over its compelling storyline. Now, listen, the biggest issue with this, in my opinion, is that these writers all are they're very well connected, right? They're all networked, obviously. These writers that all worked on a video game like Dragon Age: The Veilguard was like a cesspool of wokeness. It really was. It was a cesspool of writers that were all trauma dumping their gender ideology, journey in life. They were trauma dumping it on characters in the game. So I gotta imagine that with Erika Ishii being the voice actress for the character in Yotei, right? She is a hardcore, all pronouns are her pronouns activist, right? She doesn't even go by they, them, non-binary. She goes by all pronouns. She's a omniscient pronoun god. It's very unfortunate that that person is working on the title, and now you also have writers with a similar or even worse ideology that is working on this game as well. It is not looking good for Yotei. With this revelation, concerns that Ghost of Yotei is shaping up to be another woke disaster have only intensified. The controversy surrounding Yotei began with its very first trailer, where fans quickly realized that instead of continuing the story of Jin Sakai, the beloved protagonist of the Ghost of Tsushima, Sucker Punch had replaced him with a new female lead named Atsu. This abrupt shift in focus immediately raised red flags for gamers wary of yet another classic franchise being retooled for modern ideological messaging. Now, I've never agreed with putting Atsu in the game. I've always said that it should have been a continuation of Jin Sakai's story, and I don't think that people are bad people for pointing out the fact that nobody wanted a female lead or any other lead in a Tsushima sequel. Nobody wanted that. Then we come to find out that the sequel is actually not a sequel. It's an anthology type sequel where it's just a totally different name, totally different person, totally different setting, 300 years in the future, all that kind of stuff. It's like nobody asked for that, right? Nobody asked for that. We wanted Jin Sakai's story to continue because we liked Jin Sakai's story as he became the Ghost of Tsushima. I think I don't understand anybody that's like, oh, you're just mad because there's not a white man in it, which is hilarious. I've seen people say that, even though obviously Jin is Asian. They're like, you're just mad there's not a white man in it. That's how much white adjacent they consider Asians to be, but that's besides the point. No, we are just angry because we spent an entire first video game with a character that everybody loved, and now we are being told that, nope, that's not going to happen. He's dead. He's dead. It's 300 years in the future. Nobody cares about him. Meet Atsu. You're going to love Atsu, right? It's such an obvious, forceful entry that people are calling it out, and then you're going to have people saying, well, that's bigoted, that's racist, whatever. It's so stupid. It really is. Making matters worse in the eyes of many fans, the game's protagonist is played by Erika Ishii, a radical progressive activist known for outspoken comments on gender politics and for verbally attacking law enforcement. Ishii's casting only strengthens the belief that Ghost of Yotei is being designed as a virtue-signaling girl boss narrative rather than a faithful successor to the Ghost of Tsushima. Now, again, I don't think it's a successor. It's obviously one of those things where it's going to be its own little thing, and I understand. But again, nobody wanted Atsu. I don't think it's offensive to say nobody wanted Atsu. If you were to go to most people and say, hey, what does a Ghost of Tsushima Part 2 look like before we even knew about Yotei, and ask them that question, they would immediately tell you, 99% of them would immediately tell you that they expected Jin Sakai to be the continuation of the story. And when they didn't get that, of course, people are naturally going to be disappointed. On top of the fact that of everything else with Erika Ishii and her activism, yeah, people are going to be a little bit mad. On top of that, Sucker Punch hired Thomas Hart as its new community manager in April 24. Hart, formerly of Insomniac Games, has openly defended SBI, the controversial consulting firm known for injecting divisive identity politics into video games. Just a month before Sucker Punch, Hart dismissed concerns over Sweet Baby Inc.'s influence. Well, to be fair, at this point, I don't really know anybody in the gaming industry that has not run damage control for SBI. So I really, if you're worried about whether or not someone did damage control for SBI when you're hiring them, you're not going to be able to hire anybody, because they basically all have done damage control for that company, because that company has a fucking stranglehold on the gaming industry's balls that they feel like they have to hire them in order to be considered, diverse or have consultancy or whatever the case should be. It's like basically required reading at this point for a lot of these studios. Then it says that this whole SBI controversy is mind-numbing dumb, he said. Most people have no idea how games are made or what a consultant does. Many don't even care to listen when someone tries to explain to them. They would much rather have an other to demonize. Well, I think it's pretty funny that we feel the same exact way about you. So beyond their involvement in Dragon Age, Veilguard, Dumbro, and Woods have worked on several games that were widely regarded as failures. Both were parts of the teams behind Mass Effect Andromeda and Anthem, two titles infamous for lackluster storytelling and massive disappointments at launch. It's important to note that both Ghost of Yotei writers have some successes under their belt. Woods' track record also includes Star Wars The Old Republic and Dragon Age Inquisition, while Dumbro previously worked on Mass Effect 2 and Mass Effect 3. These are all successful and widely regarded titles. Yeah, but the problem with that is that they wrote it at a time where people were not into this kind of nonsense, this virtue signaling, identity politics bullshit. Gaming was a lot more within its own shell back then, and people were able to thrive in terms of creativity and whatnot. So even if you had one bad writer, it was usually outweighed by the multitude of better writers that you had at the table. Now, unfortunately, everybody at the table, for the most part, is just fucking garbage. They're bad writers, and they don't know what they're doing. They don't know how to make an interesting character anymore. All they know about is my sexuality is ABC, and they want to put it into ABC's character. That's what they want to do, and they're going to do it with Yotei. I guarantee you. Unfortunately, at this point in time, we don't know anything because we only had a little bit of a teaser trailer. We're still waiting for a trailer of gameplay to drop so that we can see exactly what we're dealing with here, and I think a lot of people are going to make up their mind from that particular trailer. But until that trailer drops, we don't really have anything. So anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you did enjoy. And if you did, consider leaving me a subscribe. I would greatly appreciate it. Don't forget to like the video, comment, let me know what you thought, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Hypnotic out.